Hey guys, TGIF to a lot of you. It is 7:35 in the morning on this Friday, March 24th. No, I don't have to work, but I did get up a little while ago. I tried doing this earlier, but I hit a wrong button and it caused it to stop. But yeah, I wanted to come on here and, give you a bit of a TGIF vlog on what's been happening lately. For this week, I've only done about, I would say, rounded out to about 10 hours, if you will, of work. Yeah, it's one of those, as I've mentioned before, one of those times of year where basically we were kind of low on hours a little bit. We're kind of like, basically cutting back, even with the team leaders, the managers, if you will, because of course it's tax season and, you want to make sure that, you have enough money to kind of avoid any kind of layoffs and, cutbacks and all that from other areas at your at your job or wherever. So one of the primary places that gets cut a lot is, of course, employees and, even their managers to save on that money. So yeah, I'm off today. I was off on Wednesday and Monday and Sunday, of course. And as I mentioned in the spring break channel update yesterday, I was supposed to work tomorrow and even Sunday, but that didn't work out because tomorrow, as I mentioned in yesterday's channel update, my mom basically scheduled me and her to go get our taxes done at H&R Block. And the reason this happened was about a week ago, I was on the bus, it had just, I think basically it was in its first or second week, because it started the new bus route schedule on the 5th. So I was basically on the bus during its second full week of basically doing the new schedule, right? And I get this text on my phone here from H&R Block, and at first, as I mentioned in the channel update yesterday, at first I'm thinking they probably got my number by mistake and meant for these appointments to be a message to somebody else, right? Because they were two separate appointments. And, that's the first thing that went through my mind. That's the first thing that went through my mind. The second thing, as I mentioned yesterday, was, maybe it was automatic. Maybe they just, felt that, hey, tax season is, its deadline's coming up. They got some openings. Let's schedule some people at these certain times and see if it works for them. And then message them, seeing if they're cool with it or they have to change it. But then the other option, the third option, which was the obvious and more truthful option, was, did my mom set this up? So thinking about it, I thought to myself, it has to be her. It has to be her, or it could be, they got, like I said, my number mixed up with somebody else's, or it was automatic. So it turned out, like I said, to be the third option, because what I did is I messaged her, asked if she set these up, just to, these appointments up, just to see whether or not, she got the same kind of message, by mistake or something or whatever. And she calls me back. Fortunately, she was on her break at that time. And she tells me, yes, she did set them up. And she set them up because it's the only opening that she can find that it doesn't run into April. It's at the end of the month or towards the end of the month. Like I said, it doesn't run into April. And basically, it's the only time that they have open before the deadline, that would work for her. Even though she has her spring break coming up Easter week, she knows that's going to be busy and they might get, booked up a little bit. So she decided, I'm going to go with the 25th to avoid any of that happening. And, that's the reason that essentially, we are going to be doing our taxes tomorrow, and why I had to basically, when I got this message, I had to post my shift. Now, the reason I posted my shift, in case you're wondering how I did that, as I mentioned on the channel update yesterday, we have this option on our app to where we can post our shifts, manage them, if you will, to see whether or not somebody else could use the hours, or we're just going to have to, use maybe vacation or sick time to make up for the fact that we're not going to be there. So what happened is I posted my shift, see if anybody would pick it up, and either one, somebody did pick it up, or two, they just decided to give me tomorrow and Sunday off, because I was scheduled to work Sunday as well, but I had to post that as well. But they decided to give me, but basically, I don't have to work tomorrow, is essentially what I'm trying to say. I don't have to work tomorrow because, again, I posted my Saturday shift, and either somebody took it, or they just decided to give me the day off, to cut back on time, to help cut the hours. Which, okay, that's cool. It's cool and everything. And then Sunday, I was supposed to work as well. And I'm thinking to myself, well, because I was thinking about this too, as soon as I saw that I got the Saturday off, I got tomorrow off. I was thinking to myself, okay, that obviously means they're going to make me probably work on Sunday to make up for it. And they did exactly that. They ended up having me scheduled for Sunday. The problem with that is they had me scheduled at 10 o'clock. Now you might say, well, how's that a problem? You can take the bus now, right? You've talked about that a lot. Here's the problem. The weekends are different than the weekdays. You see, on the weekdays, they basically, because now that it's every hour, if you will, they basically come around here, instead of being here like at 5:45 like they used to be, they come basically about 56 minutes later at 6:41 or around that time, about 56 to an hour later, instead of the original time that they would start. So they would come instead of 5:45, they would come around 6:41, 6:45, because it's every hour. And, for the weekdays, being scheduled at 10, that wouldn't be an issue for me. That wouldn't be, because what I could do is I could take the 7:41 bus, if you will, straight to work, and get there maybe 56 minutes early, get something to eat, wait a little bit, and then clock in. And, not have an issue. Now, here's the thing when it comes to the weekends. On the weekends, basically, they used to start around 6:25. I think it was 6:30. Well, basically around 6:30 they would start. That was the original schedule. And Sundays were a no-go. So they would start at 6:25 or around 6:30, and that wouldn't be an issue. But now, and it still isn't an issue either, but now they got it set to where, since it's every hour and everything, they got it set basically to where you have to go in, you have to catch the bus at 8:56. Now, the reason this is interesting too is because I got to double check this, but I think on the Saturday before Easter, because they had me working that day, they had me coming in at 10:30. Now, I think that's what they have. I got to double check. If not, I'm still going to have to go in, but I'm going to say, hey, I might be a little late because of things, the way things are. But I think I should be okay, because I think they have me doing 10:30 to 3:15 or something like that. I'll have to double check. But now on Saturdays, instead of, like I said, 6:25, 6:30, they actually come around, the first run around when it comes to this area is 8:56. Now, with that said, when it comes to Sundays, since Sundays are now a go and everything, You would think, well, it's the weekend, they probably going to do the same schedule on Sunday, right? Nope. For some odd reason, they decided that on Sundays, instead, they're going to start an hour later. So that would be 9:56. Now, what this has to do with the fact that I had to post and give up my shift basically for Sunday, 2 days from now, instead of work it, is because they had me set for 10 o'clock in the morning. And now at first I'm thinking, okay, that works out. I might be 4 minutes late, fine, no problem. But then when I saw what the the start schedule was for the first bus around here was going to be, I'm like, oh yeah, that's not going to work. That's not going to work, period. So I had to post my schedule once again. And again, I thought to myself, well, nobody takes it. I'll just have to work around it, get to work, probably make that up, right? Thankfully, somebody took the schedule, or they just said, hey, we're going to cut back on hours. This works for us. Boom, done. And the rest is history. Because you got to realize this too. It's, from what I understand, they, the computer, the AI, is the one that, randomly does the schedule. It's like it sets up, basically like if you're going to do an open schedule, like if you live around Turlock or in Turlock and close to your job, and, it's close enough to where you can take a bus, maybe ride your bike, and you let's say you could do an all-nighter or do an open shift to where, let's say you start at 3 p.m. but you close at 11, right? Basically the computer, the AI, will work with that. It'll work with that open schedule and randomly, if you will, set you up on hours that may or may work with you in that kind of a setting or may not work with you. And I know this from experience because there have been numerous times when I was at Walmart, that the open schedule would work with you and against you. How do I know this? Because when I used to live in Patterson, because I was close by to my job, I would ride my bike to work or walk my way to work and, work up until closing sometimes. And then the next day, but practically I would say almost 7 hours later, I would get up, get myself ready for work, go back, and do my job all over again. That's what an open schedule is. And the computer basically works with that. So again, let's say you work 3 to 11, if you live close to your job, like I used to, you work 3 to 11, and here's the thing. What it does, it could say, okay, we got them at 3 to 11. Let's see. Okay, we can have them work the next day. Let's schedule them 7 to 4 or 7 to 3. And you would be like, well, that's not enough time for me to rest. It's basically enough time for me to go home, get out of my clothes, get in my pajamas, brush my teeth, maybe get a little something to soothe me down and go right to bed, and that's it. That's basically that's basically how what your schedule would be if you had it open. If you had an open schedule at your job. Now, if you had a more adjustable schedule, more of a schedule that works with your availability, then that's different. And for me, basically, that's what I had to work with. I had to change from an open schedule, and the reason I left it open is because it's my first year, and I want to prove that I'll be there as much as I can and find other ways to get back and forth. And that's what I did. But as soon as this changed, the bus route changed and everything, I knew I had to do something, about it. And I didn't have time to let them know in between, I got to change my schedule from this and that, right away. Because, last week I was coming home for two nights in a row, or early evenings, two nights in a row. I was coming home a little after, a little after 7:45 or, a little after 8 and stuff like that. So pretty much I figured, pretty much I figured, okay, I got to adjust my schedule. And that's what one of my team leaders told me I had to do. And that's what I did. So I adjusted it not once, but twice. And the reason I adjusted it twice is because, of course, of what they had me scheduled for Sunday, not realizing that the Sunday bus starts an hour later than the Saturday bus. The first bus around here anyway. So I had to basically adjust it twice, make it work within a structure that, benefits to me and benefits the fact that I can get on the bus, get home, and, so I can get back to work whenever I'm scheduled again. So yeah, I was supposed, so again, getting back to my original topic here, because I know I sound like I rambled there, and like I said, it's early, but like I was saying, basically, long story short, I was scheduled to work on Sunday because I had a feeling they might do that because I was giving up on Saturday, or I gave up Saturday because of my tax schedule. Well, I put that up because of the fact that the hours getting there would have made me really late, and I didn't want them to have to deal with that. So I gave that hour up, or I gave that day up, and again, my plan was if I don't get somebody to take it, I just have to work around it, and maybe have to figure out a way to get home afterwards. And probably that most likely option would have been Uber or a Lyft. Probably more so Uber than anything. But yeah, I posted that, and just like Saturday, tomorrow, somebody took it, or they decided it works within the fact that they're cutting hours, and, the rest is history. So I've got basically today, tomorrow, and Sunday off. In addition, I have Monday off because they're giving me Monday off right now, as we speak, until things kind of settle down or change up a little bit to, cut back on hours, but also until we kind of pick up a little bit more down the line. So, yeah, they had me off basically unexpectedly, I'm sure to them, and it's probably not the first time someone's done this as well. But they had me off for an entire 4-day weekend. So I have somewhat of a mini vacation, if you will, starting today, somewhat. And the reason I say somewhat is because, again, it's unexpected. But, speaking of buses and everything, I'm going to tell you right now, I thought my problems with the bus, were not going to be an issue or anything. I thought my problems with the bus, were not going to be an issue or anything. Well, apparently I was wrong about that. And believe it or not, though, it's not the Stan RTA bus, the Ride the S bus, if you will, and its new route. Oh, no. It's not that. I mean, yes, it's kind of that in a way because last week, I'm surprised nobody talked to me about this because I think they give you about a 15-minute window to get in, to clock in. Thankfully, I was able to make it within 10. But, yeah, what happened last week, and this is the only other time since the bus route has changed, that the buses have kind of been delayed, if not we're not going to come down and get you kind of deal. Or they're new to the route and they pretty much don't know, hey, we got other streets to go down or something. Because last week, I was scheduled to go in at 3. That was the day I was getting out at 7:45. I think that was Thursday. A week ago yesterday. And what happened is I'm waiting at the bus, right? I'm waiting at the bus that would take me. And it was supposed to be the 1241 bus? Yeah, it was supposed to be the 1241 bus. And that would have taken me to work, got me to work about 56 minutes early. Enough time to grab something to eat, rest up a little bit more, stretch the legs and then go from there, right? Well, that bus, that 1241 bus did not show. And I waited. And it did not show. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that was going to be taking that bus to get to their destination. It did not show. And, I can understand, okay, it's been raining. Maybe they didn't want to, maybe, they had a bit of delay because of road closures, whatever, right? But from what I've seen, taking the bus later on that came around 1:41 because I had to take that one, there was no issue. So my thought process is because, my thought process was, it was either because it was, it was around the 12 o'clock noon hour, and that driver was probably thinking, you know what, screw this, I'm going to go to my lunch, I'm not going to do this route, I don't care what they pay me, I'm going to go and take my lunch and everything. Maybe they had that mindset, I can't really say. I can't really say whether or not that's true. Or, they were a new driver, and by being a new driver, they basically got lost. Or they basically thought, okay, I got into Newman, I've done Amy and Driscoll, I've done Merced and Eucalyptus. What was it? They're like, okay, I've done all that, now I'm going to head back to Patterson and Crow's Landing and Patterson. I don't know if it was that, I'm not really sure, but whoever that driver was, I guarantee you probably got a talking to once, HQ saw exactly what happened, because, if you don't think the cameras on a bus that you ride on, or a transportation system you ride on, are not there for a reason, just to make sure passengers don't cause an issue and all that. If you don't think they're not just there for that, then you got a lot to learn, because they're also there to make sure that the bus drivers are doing their routes correctly or being responsible. And the reason I say this is because of the fact of what happened to me back in December. And I've noted that pretty much already, but quick summary. Basically, the bus I took when it was on its original schedule, its original schedule of the last bus to pick me up would be around 7:11, right? Well, that bus came a little late, and then it decided to basically, that bus driver and its occupants decided to just have fun at the expense of me and future passengers, because another passenger did get on in Patterson. But basically, like I said, to sum it up real quickly, the bus driver laughed really loud, like something was not right with him up here and everything on occasions. The guy that was guiding him obviously mentally was not all there, because, here's what happened. So we're not even at the Regal Turlock, okay, which is one of the main stops. And they decided to stop in front of the Sonic there to get something to eat. And then they try to bribe me by saying, oh, don't say anything. Here's a $5, don't say anything. And as I've mentioned before, obviously they did not know who they were dealing with, because I not only reported it, but I took video, I took photo, if you will. And I even said, check your cameras on that bus. And I told them the time, I told them everything. And what happened was, I got a response back, and everything. And they said, hey, everything that you told us about that incident, about that night, checked out. Because they saw my photo I took, they saw the video footage I gave them, and they checked their own cameras in and out, because there's a camera outside and inside. They checked it all out, and they said, they checked all of that, and they're like, yep, it all checks out. And, we're going to talk to the guy. And obviously the guy hasn't been, driving since, because maybe they let him go. Or if he is driving, he's driving in areas to where, it's a lot shorter routes. And, he probably has somebody, with him. Somebody guiding him, being like, okay, let's do this, make sure you do this, so, yeah. And here's the thing. It's not just Stan RTA that has to deal with that. It's also the Arcelin company that deals with it. Because I think they're like the main prioriter, if you will. So yeah, they had to deal with it too. And this guy had to probably get additional training because of what he did. And I know that's more than a brief summary, but anyway, like I said, if you do not think this, but what it has to do with what I was saying is, if you don't think those cameras are there just to make sure that, they catch, unruly passengers or, unruly passengers or troublemakers and all that, if you think then just there for that, then you're wrong, because they're there also keep an eye out for, any issues with the drivers. And I guarantee you that driver, of the bus last week that I was supposed to, go and take to get to work 56 minutes before clocking in, I guarantee you probably got talked to. Because I'm not the only one that probably missed that bus, us and everything. And, they probably, like I said, got talked to, and maybe they had to get retrained on the route. Like, hey, you got all these other streets to do, let us guide you, da-da-da. And I think that's why when you see like little mini buses driving around at times and everything, you don't see anybody in there and it says not in service or it says in training, it's because that's probably somebody that's still learning the routes that missed some areas that, is still training, and all that. Or there's retraining, I should say. So, yeah, basically that was the one, so that was like the last issue, last week with the S bus, to where, I got to work, and thankfully I got to work within, the span of 10 minutes, within the 15-minute time limit, I should say. I got to work, so I was there plenty of time. I was, and what I mean by plenty of time is, even though I was, 10 minutes late from my original clock in, I got in there, like I said, within that 15-minute limit to where they can round it out and be like, okay, good, he's here. But like I said, obviously my bus troubles did not stop there, because yesterday and the other day when it was raining, which was Tuesday, my bus troubles continued, but this time with the Turlock Transit. And what happened is the Turlock Transit decided to be a little late, both times. I don't know why it was late. I don't know, why it is doing this. But apparently, the Turlock Transit the driver anyway, decided to be a little late than usual. Now, I don't know if it's the passengers they're picking up and everything at certain times. I don't really know. But apparently, when it comes to certain times, it decides to be late. Like, on Tuesday, I'm trying to think, was I scheduled? I think I was scheduled to 3:45 that day or 3:30 that day. I got to check again. But I was able to get off at a certain time, right? So I get off. I was scheduled. What was it? What was I scheduled? I'm trying to think. I think it was 10 to 2:30, I think, or 2:45. Oh no, it was 10. No, it was 10:15, I think. I think it was 10:15 to 3. I think that's what it was. But anyway, I'm scheduled at that time, so I get off at 3, get over to the bus, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm more than likely going to take what's known as Gear 2, which is the bus name for one of the Turlock Transit buses. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to take Gear 2, that's GER2, Gear 2. And yeah, the bus does show up. But it shows up a little later, because what it was supposed to do was show up around 3:15. Now, there's another bus that goes to the transit, which is on the other side near El Palo Loco, which comes around 3:06. So, I'm kicking myself thinking, I could have taken that bus and got home and, got to the bus station, transferred over to 45 and got home at 4:41. So I was kicking myself in that area. But anyway, the 3:15 bus does show up, but it shows up a few minutes later. And I'm talking basically almost, I would say 10 minutes later. So what that caused me to do was basically take the bus that was scheduled for later, the next 45, which was scheduled for later, take that home, and get home around 5:41. Yeah, so instead of taking like the bus, the 3-something bus, 3:30 bus or whatever it was from the transit, I had to take the 4:30 bus instead and get home at 5:41. Basically a little off overall 5:45. So even though I still got home before my mom by at least 40-something minutes, was able to kind of relax, get out of my uniform and everything, still it was like, that shouldn't have happened. The bus should have gotten there on time, picked me up, got me to the station, and, the rest is history. Now I'm really contemplating getting my bike fixed, if you will, just to drive it or ride it to the station, just in case this kind of crap happens again. I've been really contemplating that. And you would think, that has to be the end of it, right? Nope. So yesterday, I get off at 4:45, and the bus, get this, the bus, once again, decides not to show up on time. And I have to get over to the transit center to basically, catch the 45. And the bus decides, and the bus driver, I'm assuming it's the same one, decides to take their time. And we have the transit app here on the phone. Or I have the transit app anyway, to keep track of when the bus is showing up, like how much longer it's going to take. And it shows, it's 3 minutes away, 2 minutes away, 1 minute away, and all that. But it ends up being the longest 3, 2, and 1 minutes I've ever seen, because apparently this guy's taking his time, getting to where he's got to go, and all that. Now I can understand, I can accept, that I work in a college town, which is and if you're wondering what I mean by college town, Turlock is the home of California State Stanislaus. That's what they are, Stanislaus University. So, I can accept that, students are boarding and everything, and that takes time, because some of them are either paying, physically, or some of them paying, with their phones, and they're just getting on, or whatever. I can understand that. But it shouldn't take that long. Honestly, it really shouldn't, unless somebody doesn't know how to use the machine to put money in it, if you will. So yeah, what happened is the bus got there late, and I just figured, I'm just going to start walking. And maybe I'll be fortunate enough to see my 45 bus, flag it down, and say, hey, here I am. Come get me. Oh, make a stop for me, kind of do. Excuse me there. Had something had to burp there. And I figured I'd do that. And I walked all the way to Walmart, basically, in the direction of Walmart, before I decided, I'm just going to walk back to work, see if I can get a Lyft or an Uber, right? Guess what happens? Lyft decides it's still going to play its, change your payment method kind of deal, even though I have money in there to, pretty much, I guess you could say insure a ride, right? That didn't happen. So Lyft was out of the question because of the change payment deal. So I tried Uber. Uber was out of the question because I didn't have enough funds. I wasn't negative, but I just didn't have the funds yet. And so Uber was out of the question. And this is where I had to do what I did not want to do, because she does not like this happening. I had to call my mom. Yeah, I had to call my mom. And basically, long story short, thank the Lord, she was making a stop in Wesley, to get gas and get some McDonald's, get a coffee and some fries to keep her energy up, because she was getting off work, from Livermore. So I had to call her up, and I could just tell she wasn't, thrilled by it. But she figured, okay, I have it. But here's what I think happened. She figured, she probably, okay, let me remind you. All right. Here's what I think would happen. My mom, when I told her, this is probably what went through her mind. she probably thought, I don't want to do this, but I don't want to leave him there, and everything. And she did give me the option of, oh, what if I get your brother-in-law, my older sister's husband, to come get you? And I was like, yeah, in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, that's a good idea, but he's probably working, so we don't know if he's going to be available. And he's either working doing his own, he's either doing pressure washing, which, I don't know if he was doing because of all the rain we've had lately. But he's either doing that or he's working at his new job at FedEx. So, I don't know. And we kind of had a little bit of an issue. It's probably calmed down by now with my older sister. It's probably calmed down by now. But point is, we weren't totally sure exactly what was going on, right? We're not totally sure. Anyway. Long story short, I call my mom, tell her what happened and everything, and she's like, okay, I'll come get you. So what she did is she went back into McDonald's, used their facilities, and then she went to the Chevron next door, got some gas, and then she came down and got me. And, the rest is history. We were able to get home after that. But, yeah, she wasn't, I could tell, honestly, she wasn't happy about doing it, that, because if there's one thing I've always made clear is that I do know she doesn't want to come down there, and I have to find my own way back and forth. And the bus changed up its schedule and everything recently, making it a lot easier, especially with dropping me off, over in this section, where the bus stops at, help really is a benefit, is a blessing. But again, yesterday shouldn't have happened the way it did, because it's like, the bus should get there in time. I mean, I understand, one of the things it's got to go across is a train track, and sometimes the train will come and has to wait. I get that. But again, this is an issue that shouldn't be happening, because I'm not the only one that's waiting for a bus, to get to my destination probably at certain times, and that bus ends up being delayed. I'm not the only one. So what I'm going to probably do is I'm going to get on the website, and if they have an area where I can file a complaint, I will explain my situation this past week. And then what I'll do is I'll probably go to the stand one. I'll basically file a complaint about what happened last week. Sorry about that. My phone recording decided to end at a limitation of 37 minutes. But anyway, like I said, what I may have to do is, or what I may do afterwards too, is, file a complaint to the S as well about last week, but also kind of explain to them, look, or even suggest to them, look, I understand and appreciate this is more streamlined, more, easier, if you will, for a lot of people, both drivers and passengers, with these new routes and everything. But I'll explain to them, look, when it comes to places like Patterson, Curtis Landing, and Newman, you can't just limit yourself to, an hour or two later, or hour, 2 or 3 later, or earlier, not later, but earlier, than what you still do and run for Modesto, Turlock, and all the other keys and series and all that. You can't just limit yourself to, having a route that ends, 2-3 hours earlier. You have to be fair to everybody. So hopefully, I'm not the only one that's making that suggestion, and maybe I'll just add to it. But to me, they need to work on that too. They need to be like, okay, instead of 5:30 being the last run time from Turlock to Patterson, Newman, and Crow's Landing, we have to extend it to at least 7:30. That's the way I look at it. That's the way I look at it. Extend it to at least 7:30, so that way, anybody that takes the Turlock Transit bus, over there, or one of the S buses over there, can either stay on that bus when it transfers over to being the 45, or get off and go to the 45 and get home without an issue. So hopefully they'll change that, and maybe I'll add, and maybe my suggestion will add to any of, hey, you need to change this. You need to, really work on this, so that it's not an issue for everybody, in the long run. Period. But yeah, yesterday, my mom, again, I know she doesn't really mind doing it if there's no other recourse, which yesterday was one of those reasons. But it's like, seriously, this shouldn't have been an issue. Lyft, the bus, like I said, the bus, station, the bus companies need to work on this. 2, Lyft and Uber need to change their policies to work with people that need to get to their destinations. They need to do that. And 3, like I said, the S, if you will, or the stand RTA, they need to work on readjusting their schedules to where they can still do the new, hour-long schedules if they want, but they also have to basically make it work for everybody that has different hours of work and everything, or appointments, or whatever they're going to be at certain times. They need to work on it like that, in my opinion. So it's been an interesting week or so overall, from last week to this week. The readjusting of the schedules, for work, readjusting it to work with the new bus schedule and stuff like that. And it looks like it's going to be okay. But the one issue that needs to be addressed is the buses. The buses need to the bus companies, whether it's Turlock Transit, whether it's Stan RTA, or even the Merced bus, if you will, that comes around there too. They all need to make sure that the drivers they have get to their areas, get to their stops on time, and they do not dilly-dally. Because if they dilly-dally, it's not going to be pretty for them or the company, because they're going to have a lot of complaints coming their way in the near future, and I think they know that. But anyway, though, guys, I just wanted to come on here, do this bit of a vlog and everything. Let me know what your thoughts are overall on my situation. Let me know if you've ever had to deal with that in the past or even the present. Let me know down below. Hopefully you may get an audio version of this down the line. But until next time, guys, I will talk to you later. And until then, I am out.